Welcome back to day 3 of this week's devotional on the topic of spiritual practices. I want to start off with a question for you. Have you ever been just sitting there and somebody texts you and they said, "Hey, let's get together tonight," or "Hey, let's get together this weekend," and you text back, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so busy," but you aren't, right? That's a moment where you had an opportunity to say yes to something, but instead you say no. And you and I, we say yes to things all the time. And by default, anything that we say yes to, we say no to other things. If we want to go hang out with our friends, we say no to downtime. If we say yes to, doing a Bible study, we say no to Netflix. So we're always doing this thing where we're saying yes to certain things and by default saying no to other things. Because what we prioritize points to what we believe matters most to us. What we create space for communicates what we think is important. And that's what a part of today's chapter is about the responsibility of creating space through spiritual practices to say yes to Jesus. I want to read you a quick quote from the author here. He says this, he says, "We have to take responsibility for our spiritual lives by arranging them in a way that creates space for encounter," specifically an encounter with Jesus. Because the reality is, like I said before, we say yes to certain things and by default say no. And here's the question is, are we saying the right yeses? Because if we're saying the right yeses, that means we're arranging our lives in a way that's good, right? But if we're saying the wrong yeses, that means we might be putting things that are more important on the back burner or pushed off to the side, communicating that we're not arranging our lives in a way that says that these things matter most to us. And so here's what I just want to encourage you with this week as we are looking at the idea of spiritual practices is do them. Why? Because we get to say yes to Jesus. We need to say yes to Jesus first before anything else, always. But we need to create that space and that time with him because we need to make him first in our lives. He should not be a person that we say yes to other things over. He should be the first yes that we have each and every day to create space to be with him because guess what? He wants to be with you. I hope this was encouraging. Come back tomorrow for another spiritual practice.